Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. Xbox over the last few weeks have really done a good job at staying in the news, and it looks like that will continue on throughout March as they have more to come. They did just reveal a new event where it already sounds like they have some exciting games to show, and yes, this does include more Xbox Game Pass games. They just are not slowing down at all when it comes to Xbox Game Pass, so we're going to talk all about that today. Also, PlayStation made a strange acquisition that I would have never expected. So we'll go over all that plus plenty more. First though, let's go over some of the quick news, starting off with a big delay. Yeah, unfortunately we do have a delay to talk about today, and that's for the upcoming Gotham Knights. Now, I know that's not what you want to hear, but Gotham Knights is no longer planned to release in 2021, but instead it's now being pushed back to 2022. This is actually the second or third big AAA game that's been delayed out of 2021. Of course, Harry Potter Hogwarts Legacy also got pushed back to 2022, and now Gotham Knights. Interestingly enough though, I feel like for the most part, the game community has handled this relatively well. I mean, I'm sure some people didn't, as there's always unfortunately a few people that are a little bit more dramatic, but I've been seeing a lot of people come out and say that they're okay with this delay, and they just don't want another Cyberpunk situation. It's almost as if Cyberpunk has become the poster child of delayed games, and suddenly more gamers realize that delays aren't necessarily a bad thing. They're often absolutely needed for a better overall product, especially now with work conditions being all over the place in the last year. I do believe that we will see some other major delays as the year goes on though. Even Elden Ring is rumored to miss 2021. Gran Turismo 7 was also pushed back to 2022 as well, and yeah, we're likely to see delays like this as the year goes on. Some will be a little longer than others, but I will say this, if you're a developer, just take your time. First impressions are very important, and it's better to have a good game day one. But yeah, unfortunately Gotham Knights was delayed, but hopefully everybody can remain patient. Now luckily though, we did get a release date for the upcoming Scarlet Nexus. This is a new dark fantasy action RPG from Bandai Namco, and it'll be out on June 25th for PC, PlayStation consoles, and Xbox consoles. This was one of those big Japanese reveals for Xbox at a previous event last year. Japanese publishers do have a tendency of skipping out on Xbox, but it seems like the Xbox Series already has better support from Japanese publishers, and Scarlet Nexus is further proof of their growing relationship with the Xbox platform. Now hopefully that continues as the generation goes on, but yeah, they did post a new trailer that shows some of its story and gameplay. Admittedly, it looks like a lot of fun. The first thing I noticed was how the art style looks very similar to the Soulsborne-like Code Vein. They do share a similarity in art style, and that might be because they have the same producer. So it would make sense that they have similar visuals here, but what excites me personally is that it's led by two members of the Tales of Vesperia team. Now that is one of my all-time favorite JRPGs, thanks to its story and characters, so I view that as a great sign. They are promising a deep story-driven experience after all, so on paper, Scarlet Nexus certainly sounds very promising. The gameplay though is fast-paced, and it kind of reminds me of Nier Automata. Again though, that's a good thing. Everything just looks really good so far, and if you do like JRPGs or games like that, then mark your calendars for June 25th when Scarlet Nexus releases. Now here's an interesting topic that I wasn't quite expecting. Sony made a surprise acquisition. They somehow acquired EVO, the biggest and most popular fighting game championship series on a yearly basis. EVO's been around for 25 years, and if you've ever been a part of the fighting game community, you know the EVO name very well. Every year they hold a tournament where the FGC comes together to compete in various fighting games, and it's always such a joy to watch. I mean, I was really into Killer Instinct there for a while, and I used to love watching them compete in EVO. Those were some of the best tournaments I've ever seen in any video game, but they host a ton of different games over at EVO. Super Smash Bros. And Street Fighters are huge in EVO tournaments, and that was really the first thing fans questioned with this acquisition. Since this is a Sony acquisition, will they still allow non-PlayStation games to be at this tournament? And really, I don't think anybody should have been overly concerned about that at all, but it was quickly confirmed that EVO remains open to all platforms. This acquisition is not meant to secure exclusives or anything like that. This is just the next step for Sony investing in esports, and they do have a big fighting game community on PlayStation consoles. Street Fighter V was a PlayStation console exclusive, and much of the FGC is from Japan who plays on PlayStation consoles. So it's a fitting partnership with the two coming together, and it'll be interesting to see how they evolve EVO over the coming years. Let's talk about Xbox Game Pass though, and interestingly enough, Nier Automata just launched into Xbox Game Pass for PC, which is an absolute amazing inclusion. I love Nier Automata. The combat is fantastic, the music is just wow, and its story is strange but so phenomenally well done. It's one of the more memorable games from last generation, in my opinion, and a flat-out masterpiece. So seeing it come to Xbox Game Pass on PC after it's been available on Xbox consoles for so long was great to see. Unexpectedly though, the Xbox Game Pass version of Nier Automata on PC is a different version than what's available on Steam. The Steam version is the Yorha edition, whereas on Xbox Game Pass, it has become as God's edition, which includes DLC and improved performance. A few notable improvements are Fidelity FX, borderless video settings, HDR, and UI textures upscaled to 4K resolution. So yeah, reportedly it's actually running much better on Xbox Game Pass than what it does on Steam as it's an updated version. And it goes a bit further than that. It's not just Nier Automata that has seen an improvement in performance via Xbox Game Pass, but also the Evil Within. The Evil Within also got a lot of new content, including first-person mode with a field-of-view option, infinite ammo mode, all DLC was included, the stamina has been adjusted, among other inclusions. Several fans are explaining it as basically being a remaster for Xbox Game Pass on PC. So all this is really good for Xbox Game Pass on PC, and it shows the great work Team Xbox has done not just for consoles, but also PC as well. However, there are some fans conflicted on this subject because even though they've been updated for Xbox Game Pass on PC, and that's fine and everything, but fans who's already bought it on PC are left with an outdated version, especially with Nier Automata. Fans in the past had to patch that game themselves with a mod, so for the Steam community who has already bought this game in the past is kind of looking at this updated version and are kind of left wondering why Square Enix have not fixed the Steam version if they already have it working on PC for a different storefront. It just doesn't sit well with a lot of people who's already purchased this game on Steam. So there has been some controversy with these updates, but since these are new updates, we might see that come to Steam at some point down the road. It just might be that their main focus was for Xbox Game Pass on PC for the moment, but we'll have to wait and see what happens with all that. But if you do have Xbox Game Pass for PC, both these games are highly recommended. Let me know what you think about this whole situation though in the comments below. Now that wasn't the only Xbox Game Pass related news, as Xbox announced a new event for March 26. We have talked about this event a few times on the channel as it's been widely rumored, and it's true after all. They do have something planned, and it's a little bit bigger than what I originally thought it was going to be. I thought it was just going to be a small segment where we hear about a few independent games and then just kind of move on. But actually, they have a big game here, and they're showing more than just a few games. Yes, this event is showcasing independent games from Xbox at ID specifically, but one of those games is Stalker 2. Yeah, that is an incredibly exciting game, as fans have waited for the next Stalker for years and years. This is a very popular franchise on PC, and this time it's not just coming to the PC, but it's also coming to the Xbox Series. And on March 26, we will get a brand new trailer for Stalker 2, hopefully with some gameplay this time. From what we've seen so far, they once again are looking to make it a very atmospheric game with ominous visuals, but I'm ready to see some gameplay. Hopefully we'll get that here at this event, but that is far from the only thing that they're showing here. They're apparently set to show over 100 games on the official Twitch gaming channel. Yeah, you heard that right. More than 100 games will be shown here. Some of which are already known about, like Stalker 2 and Second Extinction, but there's also going to be some new games and Xbox Game Pass announcements at this event. Now with that said, don't go into this thinking you're going to see some big blockbuster type of games. At the end of the day, this event is for independent games, so keep your expectations in check. However, coming from someone who does like independent games, we might see some cool games show up here. I mean, truthfully, on a yearly basis, some of the best games that comes out are independent games. Just look at 2020 as an example. Hades was one of the most awarded games last year, and then you also had games like Ori and the Will-O-Wisps. You also had Battletoads, Bug Fables, Streets of Rage 4, Spelunky, Bugsnax, and so many more. I mean, even if you look at 2021, one of the most successful games this year so far has been Valheim, developed by an independent studio. So you never really know what you're going to see at an event like this. I mean, there might be a lot of niche games here that you just don't care about, and I do expect that to happen, but you could also see some really cool games here as well, and for that reason, I'm excited to see what they have to show. Again, this event will take place on March 26 over at the official Twitch gaming channel. If anything, I'm absolutely sure we will get some nice Xbox Game Pass games at this event. Now for the last bit of news, we need to talk about the Avengers for PlayStation. There's been a few things circulating over the last day about the Avengers specifically, one being directed to some confusion about transitioning to the PS5, and then also a delay for an upcoming character. Let's first talk about that transition, as the Avengers just launched on the Xbox Series and PS5. Now, there's a good chance that you may have already been playing the Avengers on the PlayStation 4, and if that's the case, you are being urged not to delete the Avengers on your PS4 right away, and that's because how the transition works going to your PlayStation 5. Crystal Dynamics posted a step-by-step tutorial on how to do this. The first thing you need to do is update the PlayStation 4 version, then launch the fully patched Avengers. After that, navigate to the Save Migration tab, then start your upload. Once that's finished, launch the PS5 version and then download the PlayStation 4 data. Crystal Dynamics notes that it is necessary to boot the save on the PS5 version, even if PlayStation users have the PS4 and PS5 version of the game on the same console. So this is not a smooth transition, to say the least, and I have seen some confusion online about this, and this is because of how the PS5 handles upgrades of last generation games. I remember people thinking Xbox Smart Delivery was just a marketing term, but we are quickly finding out that was not the case at all. These transitions have been a little bumpy on the PS5 so far. However, as long as you follow the instructions, it should be fine. Again, as long as you still have access to the PS4 version, just don't delete the PlayStation 4 version right away, and hopefully you can get that transition to the PS5. Now, they also talked about Spider-Man for the Avengers. Last year, they announced that Spider-Man would be a PlayStation exclusive, but we haven't really seen or heard much about that since the initial announcement. Well, it's now being reported that Spider-Man has been delayed until after the Black Panther expansion. Originally, Spider-Man was planned for early 2021, but since then, it's been confirmed that he will not be available until after the Black Panther expansion. That would mean that you won't have Spider-Man until at least summer, and possibly later. We'll have to wait for a confirmation on an actual date, but it will be a little longer of a wait than originally expected. Just kind of be patient for that, and hopefully the wait will be well worth it. If anything, maybe the Avengers will have improved even more by the time Spider-Man drops. Let's talk about the poll of the day though, and as we all know, Animal Crossing New Horizons has been a massive success. In just 1 year, it has sold more than 30 million copies worldwide. That was completely unexpected, but fans are loving this game, and that begs the question, with the Switch still selling millions of consoles, how much will Animal Crossing New Horizons sell lifetime? So I asked you all, will it sell 40 million units? And 68% of you believe that yes, it will. And truthfully, I think it absolutely has a chance to do so. As of December 31st, it was at 31.18 million sold, so it has another 9 million units to go. But I've not seen any slowdown in either the Switch or Animal Crossing. I mean, if we're to believe that the Switch is only halfway into its life cycle, and knowing Nintendo games have a ton of longevity, I could easily see it selling another 9 million units over the Switch's life cycle. It really is insane how successful Nintendo has been with the Switch though, and Animal Crossing, I mean, wow, it is insane. This game will absolutely be one of the best-selling games of all time. Anyways though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.